The world won't understand you. Hey, but it's okay. Said the world won't understand you. Cause I made you in my own way. Said the world won't understand you. Cause I made you different.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 70 of In a Good Way podcast. Today's special guest is Rochelle Jo, who is an NDE experiencer, and she is also a chiropractor and a personal trainer. Thank you so much for being here, Rochelle. It's an honor.
Thank you, Amar. Thank you for having me. It took me a while, but I'm here.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you so much. And I was very fascinated by your story. It stood out to me, right? It's a little different from other NDE stories that I hear. So, right before we get into it, I always like to ask, when you were little, were you already experiencing anything that I guess we could call spiritual, right? Like, were you already kind of intuitive, or were you brought up in a certain way when you were young, or?
Yeah, I had a very normal childhood growing up. We weren't religious at all. My mom went to church a few times and tried to get me to go to Sunday school, but nothing, nothing out of the ordinary. The only remarkable, thing I could mention about my childhood is that I used to have a lot of nightmares. And I used to sleepwalk almost, every night, which was insane. And I have 3 other siblings, and it is so crazy. We used to all sleepwalk, all 4 of us sleepwalk in one night, which is
Wow.
So there was like a lot of bizarre things that happened to me, but mostly a lot of missing time. Like I would go to bed and the alarm would go off like in 5 minutes. And I would think like, oh my gosh, I just closed my eyes. It's impossible. So a lot of missing time, a lot of nightmares. And it was the same nightmare over and over, which is quite weird. I don't know if I could tell you a little bit about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it wasn't your typical nightmare where there was people involved. I know it sounds weird, but it was like these orbs that kept on coming towards me, and I was an orb as well. And there was these massive orbs all around my little tiny orb. That was me. And the closer they came to me, the more I screamed out. I didn't want these huge orbs to touch me. And some nights, they would come close to my little orb, and that was my nightmare. And I couldn't figure out, like, up until today, I still don't know like fully what that means. So yeah, typical childhood. And then also like playing in the yard, I would look up into the sky sometimes and be like, wow, it feels like something's watching me, but never saw anything like, specific. Other than those few things, a pretty average childhood. Yeah.
Wow. And so what have you even found out what they, I guess in this reality, what they attribute to sleepwalking, like why they say people sleepwalk? Or do you know?
I have no idea. I have no idea. I just feel like it's your subconscious mind that's maybe still fully awake while your physical body is asleep. I'm not sure. But I do think that when you dream, you definitely leave this realm for sure. Absolutely. So I'm not sure why my body was still reacting the way it did in this realm when I was somewhere else. It still doesn't make sense.
No, absolutely. That's really interesting. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah. So I guess if you want to get into the NDE now, we could hear that story.
Yeah,
It's
sure.
very fascinating.
Yeah, it is a little bit different. I think in the beginning, I wasn't sure what it was until I got messages. But let me start from when I was about 28 years old. I was diagnosed with hypertension, which we had no idea why. I think it was just genetic or hereditary. Still couldn't figure out. And I basically changed my lifestyle I didn't want to go on medication. And yeah, changed my lifestyle. I was 28, didn't want chronic hypertensive medication. And then I had it under control up until my pregnancy. With my pregnancy, it just skyrocketed and it didn't come down after that. Obviously, hypertension affects your heart, but at the time, my NDE happened, I didn't know I had a heart condition. So it was like a build up to having a heart condition. So on the day of my NDE, I was with a friend. We went to a local park where we do a lot of hiking and, just having a picnic. And the hiking gates weren't open yet. And we decided just to, wait it out, have something to eat and just relax before we go for a hike.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't feeling well that morning at all, but I didn't say anything to my friend. I just thought like it's lightheadedness or something going on. And yeah, I was laying on the blanket and all of a sudden I sat up and I knew I was no longer in the park. And that freaked me out because my friend was now like no longer with me. She was no longer sitting next to me. And I thought, oh my God, and there was not a single person in sight. So that really freaked me out. And I sat up and I thought, okay, let me just calm down. There was that internal panic where something's wrong, but you just can't put your you can't put your foot on it. And I sat up and I thought to myself, I asked myself, where am I and what happened to me? I don't know why I asked that question, what happened to me? But that was the first message I got telepathically was, you died. And I said, I didn't even question where like it came from. And then I answered it telepathically, like it was a long lost friend. And I said, oh yeah. I'm sure I'm dead. It has to be. And then the telepathic message was, it was your heart. And I said, oh my gosh, of course. Yeah, this makes sense. This makes complete sense. And next thing I know, as I said that, I think they gave me, there's no time on the other side. It felt like they gave me 5 minutes just to soak it in and just to accept that I was gone. So I sat there thinking for about 10 or 5 minutes with this internal panic just building up. And I thought, wow, my family is going to be devastated. Yeah, I don't know how they're going to cope without me. And as soon as I said that, it felt like the reality changed. My reality changed. So it was timelessness, but then I saw this glitch in the sky. So I was still sitting on the grass. And when I looked up, I could see like this, just a glitch, like the sky didn't align. There was just like this piece of the sky, and then it was just not aligning. And I thought that is so strange. And I knew that I was in a different realm after that. So then, yeah, still panicking, taking it all in. And I got the second message. It was, you need to come with me. And I knew that it was going to be, I don't know, not like the final place. It felt like I was going to a final place. This wasn't the final place. Wow. And so I felt like I was now leaving the realm that I was in. I was still physical. I was still completely physical. I could see my hands. I could see the glitch in the sky. But I knew the realm I was going to go to was I'm going to have to leave my body behind. So at the time, I didn't know they were going to test me first before I got to the final place. It felt like I was lying down when I left my body, but I was actually just sitting up. So it felt like I was just lifting out through the top of my head. It's a bit weird. So I was kind of like lifting through the top of my head, and I was now in a hospital bed, which absolutely didn't make sense because I thought I was going to another place, like the final place.
So where they took you, took you, then you're in the hospital bed now.
I'm now in a hospital bed. And they said to me, you need to say goodbye to everyone. And I couldn't obviously do that. And I could see myself lying on a hospital bed. And this was in the future because my daughter was about 13 years old. But at the time, she was only about 3 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, on Earth, she was only 3, but I was in the future and my daughter was 13 years old. And as I was lying in the hospital bed, I started walking around where my family members were around the bed. And I started whispering in their ear, like, oh my gosh, it's going to be fine. I'm actually fine. And you guys are going to be okay. And I told them how much I loved them. And by the way, the beings that were with me, they were the ones giving me messages. So they were like, guiding me, like, tell your family that you're ready to go and you'll be fine. And that's what I did. And I think the hardest part for me was saying goodbye to my daughter at the time. That was very hard. And I just told her, like, I'm so peaceful. And I think that when you're in a coma or on your deathbed, and you're saying goodbye to everyone around you, they can sense you. Even if you're out your body, they can sense you, because the minute I said to my daughter, I said to her goodbye, she had this little grin, just like, oh, okay, like, oh, things are gonna be okay with my mom. I'm gonna be okay. And then I knew, you know what, they can actually feel my presence, even though my body was on the lying on the hospital bed. So once that scene was over, I felt this absolute pulling, like another pulling. And this was very different. Have you ever, I'm not sure if you've ever been under anesthetic before in a hospital.
I'm sure I have.
It's like when they put you under anesthetic and you try to fight it a little bit, but your eyes just start closing. And it's this calm, peaceful sleep that you're going to. It feels like you're leaving. And that's the feeling I felt after the hospital scenario. Then I felt, okay, this is going to be the final place. And that's where I went. I went to the light. It was an instant. There was no tunnel for me. There was no, someone waiting for me on the other side. It was just completely peaceful bliss. I did go through this black void that everyone talks about. There's this black void. And then after the black void, it was just this bright light. It was beautiful. It was blissful. I just wanted, it was like just, if I had a body, I would be standing there just taking it all in. And, but everyone that passed away was there. Everyone, and not in physical form, but their souls are all there. And when all these lights came together and they made up the bright light, and I thought, wow, I'm part of this big bright light. It felt amazing. It was just absolute bliss. And I had another question from the beings, and they were like, do you want to stay here? And I said, of course I want to stay here. Yes, I'm staying for sure. And then in a split second, I thought to myself, I was like, wow, wait, I have a daughter that's still on earth. And I had to remind myself, because it was just so blissful. And the minute I said that, I was like, no, I can't stay. I was instantly not on the earth level. I was back to the reality with the glitch. I wasn't fully back on earth. And that didn't make sense to me, because I was expecting to see my friend next to me, and she wasn't there. So I was very confused and also full of bliss. I was still like beaming. And they put me in one last scenario. They said, okay, you can go back, but just hold on. I just need to show you something. And they put this being next to me that started morphing in shape. Like the face just started morphing into weird kind of evil. It was an evil presence. And they said to me, Rochelle, and I said to them, I'm scared, it feels like it's going to take my soul. I don't want to go with it. And they said to me, do you remember the bright light that you went to? And I said, yeah. This is all telepathic. They said, take that bright light and then just put it inside of you and you'll be fine. And then show that being some love. That's all they said. And they were gone. And that's what I did. I kind of built up the courage to look at it, and it kept on changing, like just changing its face and appearance. And it had the smirk. And then that's what I did. I took the bright light. I put it inside of me until I physically felt like I could explode. It was like almost coming out of me. And then I started saying this beautiful, loving words towards this being. And I was like, oh, don't worry. You're just sad. You're just angry. It's fine. and it hated it. It was squirming, and it just absolutely hated the words I was saying to it. And I just loved it. And the minute I loved it, and I almost went in for like a hug, to be honest, it was gone. The last message they gave to me, they said, now that you have that, you can go back, but you need to tell everyone. And I forgot to mention, like when I was at this bright light, there was just this flood of information, of all the information that ever existed, just flowing through me. And by the way, I was atheist before all of this. I was completely atheist. So yeah, so coming back down to earth, I woke up, I was completely blue. I was, blue. I was back down into earth now. My friend was next to me, so I knew where I was. And she was absolutely hysterical. She was on the phone and, telling people that she can't wake me up, and I'm all blue in the face. But I woke up just laughing, and I woke up feeling so refreshed and so, I don't know, like rejuvenated. And I told them, it's fine. I know what happened to me. You don't have to tell me. And I told her, like, I died. I know I died, but we can deal with that after I tell you what happens. And she just didn't want to listen to my story. And I just wanted to tell the world what happened to me. So yeah, I did go to hospital eventually. I didn't want to go on the same day because I was just in such a blissful, completely blissful state. And yeah, I was diagnosed. I had an arrhythmia, so my heart doesn't like beat properly, and my hypertension is still there. But I had beings work on my heart after that experience, and I have to tell you that story after this. Okay. So yeah, I'm actually not, I wouldn't say cured, but I'm much healthier. My heart is like much stronger right now. So after my NDE, I just took it easy, and I had a lot to process because even after my NDE, I still got messages from these beings. And it feels like when you get the message, it feels like I wasn't asking a question, but the answers came to me, even though I wasn't asking anything. So it was like, oh, you need to tell them, you need to just and one of the messages was like, this is all a game, it's all for you. Once you pass this game, you come back. And I was like, wow, why are you telling me this? So yeah, I got a lot of messages, and it definitely changed my life completely. I was in corporate at the moment. I was working for a corporate company, a company that works on the jab, cures, the cure for the jab. Yeah. So I worked for a very big international company back then, and yeah, that all changed. I left my job. My life just completely, did a 180. You'd say that. Yeah.
Wow, that's so amazing. I wanted to ask about, well, first the beings. So the beings, were you able to see, or were they just light, or did they have a certain look to them, or?
Yeah, they were just light. But I think in order for me to see that they are beings, they shape themselves to be humanoid, like a human. So it's like an outlining of a human. But because if I just saw them, they would just be these 3 blobs of light. I wouldn't know what they were. So yeah, they did take a human shape or form. Yeah.
And then my other question was about, so this darkness that you saw, because I love how you said that when you were showing it love, it didn't like that. So were you shown that just in that reality, or here are you able to still see when something's dark, or?
Oh yeah, absolutely. They said there is definitely darkness here. I think that was one of the lessons. The first lesson was acceptance. So I was put in the hospital for acceptance. I need to accept the death of the physical. That's the first part of awakening, is accepting your death, that your physical body will die. And that is when people go through, the dark night of the soul. And that's when they don't accept that you can die physically. So you go through all that emotions. It's like your body rejecting that idea.
Oh, wow.
Or your ego rejecting the idea. So my first lesson was acceptance. And I think it's also because I was atheist. So they needed to really show me, that your physical dies. And the second lesson was with the dark being, you need to protect yourself, and you have way more light literally inside of you to overcome anything, the dark beings that are around us in this realm. So yeah, so that was a lesson for me, to literally show everyone that you can protect yourself, and you can just love it. That's all you need, is just to love it. It'll go away.
Wow. So do you feel that would be the answer? Like, for example, when there's wars and all that kind of darkness?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't, that's why I don't even go to protests, or, protesting, it's like so counteractive. You're supposed to be doing it for the right reasons, but you go there angry. We'd rather go there in a positive way. It's the same way I look at life. It's like, rather do something with love. Even if you do it alone and by yourself, rather do it with love. I think that's the biggest lesson, was just love it. Just be positive about it. It might be hard or difficult, but that's the bottom line. Yeah.
And it's funny that you mentioned that, because in 2016, right, I went to this, thing where, I mean, they didn't even call it a protest, right? But it was like it was called Standing Rock. I don't know if you remember that. It was here in the United States. It was like we were protecting the water, right? They wanted to put a pipeline through the water.
And yes.
Yeah, people came from around the world. They were like from Japan, from Palestine, from the Amazon, from all over the world, right? People were coming to help. But when I went there, I went to fight. Like, I went ready to fight, to give my life, basically, because to me, I knew it wasn't right. What they were doing, like polluting the water.
Absolutely.
How do we know we can't live without water? And it's like, yeah. So anyways, once I got there, the medicine man and the elders, we weren't supposed to fight. So it was I never experienced that in my life. I grew up around protecting yourself. So to stand there while someone is attacking you was one of the hardest things I had to do. But I understood, I got it. I understood what was happening, but it was just hard. It was one of the hardest things. So it's right, like what you said, and I had never experienced that. And so I knew on a soul level that they were right, but it was still hard. It was very difficult to stand there when someone's attacked. So that whole movement was based, because of the elders, on love, right? Like explaining to them, like, hey, this polluting the water is going to affect your children, everybody. Like, it doesn't make sense. Even in a human form, it doesn't make sense. So, of course, there were some people that still like, so that was the hard thing, right? Like, some people still like, no, this isn't right. Like, we should fight, So that reminded me right now when you said that. So, it's interesting because not everybody talks about being able to see like the darkness, right? Like the darkness. So have you encountered since after your NDE experience, can you see it in people? Like, will you be able to see like certain dark things when?
I think with most NDE, and I love listening to everyone's story. They all have a piece of the puzzle to share with us, for sure. But yes, when I came back, I think with NDE, it's your intuition changes. When they say awakened, it means your senses are also awakened. So what you see, what you feel, your gut feeling, that's all heightened. So when I came back, mine was completely heightened. My intuition, I could literally see when someone had darkness in them. We can get into the NPC conversation, but there was a lot of darkness that I could automatically see. And I had to deal with that, because that was very frightening for me. I had a little shop around the corner where they sold bread and, just a little tuck shop. And there was a grown man, an old man that used to serve us. And he's been serving us, running the little tuck shop for 10 years. And after my awakening, I went right up to him and he couldn't look me in the eye. After my NDE, he couldn't look at me.
Oh, wow.
And it gave me such goosebumps, because I knew exactly why he couldn't look at me. And yeah, that's kind of a weird story, but he actually, I called him out, not verbally, but more like telepathically. And I said, oh my gosh, I can see who you are. I literally telepathically told him that, and he could not look me in the eye. And when I called him out and I said, you know what, you have so much darkness in you, you don't belong here, telepathically, yeah, he he passed away the next week. Like, I know, that is the first time I knew like I could see something in people. I could see like the darkness, whether they could see it or not. That was my first experience of a dark being, like a completely dark being. Or like I would go into a place or someone's house and I would just, you know, when you get that eerie feeling, like something is just not right.
Yeah.
Mine was completely heightened after my NDE. I just couldn't walk into like, even if it's a photo frame, and I'll be like, geez, you know, there's just something about that photo that's it's just creepy. Yeah, but yes, my intuition and seeing beings, dark beings, differently. Today I still see. Well, I still sense it. Yeah, I still sense them.
So what was it about that man? Did they show you what exactly, where the darkness stems from, or?
It was everyone that ever scared me. So as its face was like morphing, like if I watched a horror movie, it would be, for example, like Jason, you know, from the movie, or it'll be like Freddy Krueger, or it'll be at the time my dad and mom was divorced, and my dad was abusive, so it would be his face as well that used to scare me. So like the faces kept on changing into everything that I was ever afraid of. So yeah, if that
But did
answered
it
your question.
but did it show you, for example, like, did they get the darkness by their choices here, or did they already come to this realm with the darkness?
I think it is just part of this realm. I think it's always been here, and this is part of our lesson, is to kind of protect ourselves. This is the lesson. We need to conquer the light and the dark for us to move on to the next realm, for us to be like fully awakened. So they are there for literally our lessons to be learned. Yes.
Wow.
But I think, yeah, they were always in this realm. Absolutely.
So what about, because see, for example, when I was younger, I started seeing these entities, both like when I would dream, and I even, like, for example, when I would be involved with someone, and let's say I didn't know, and they would end up doing drugs. And so once I would find out, I would feel bad, and I'd like pray for them or something. You know, and I remember like, you know, sleeping next to someone once and waking up and there's this entity, and I'm like, you know, or also even in the dream where something was so dark, I had never had that happen. It threw me out of my dream. Like I was running to like get it off this person.
Yeah.
And it turned to me like get out. And it was just the most horrific like being I ever, darkness, just, and it threw me out, and I woke up like on my bed, like it's just, you know, you feel the energy like so strong. So in those cases,
Yeah,
see,
absolutely.
was it just by, I don't feel like those people were, you know, like it's almost like if they got it here. That's why I wanted to ask that, like what, how do you, like, so what do you feel like, that they somehow already had it, or did they gather that darkness because of the choices, right? Like doing drugs, or maybe people that drink, or
Absolutely.
they just
Yeah.
start.
I think it's also what you focus on. Like if your mind is always like, wow, I just see these shadow beings, and you always like, you know, looking at the dark side of whatever, the tarot, or you're doing something, you know, that's focusing on the darker side of you know, things that builds up in you, and that's what you'll experience, because that's what you're manifesting. So if you're really into the darkness, you into ghosts, you into paranormal, you will experience it because that's what you want. So I think they do come because you literally almost setting your frequency on theirs to experience them. So you're coming down into the lower frequencies to meet them there. But if you're like, oh, well, you know, I know they exist, but I don't focus on them, my frequency is a little bit higher, so that I don't have to deal with them. So yeah, it's all about how low you bring your vibration and frequency to meet them that in that frequency and vibration. So I would say focus on the good, focus on the happy parts of it, or the happy parts of this realm. Yeah.
No, and that makes perfect sense, because I haven't seen anything like that in a long time, right? Since I guess I haven't been around that, right? Or
yeah,
anyone
but it's
that's
also like,
go
yeah,
ahead, go ahead.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, but it's also like maybe they want you to be in that vibration. They keep you there because that's where they thrive, in that realm of fear. So they want to bring you down there all the time, keep your mind occupied on being fearful. And that's how you interact with them all the time. So once you're out of that and you've grown up a little bit and you're no longer scared of, these scary movies, and you'll see that, that will start listening. You'll start seeing less of them, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely. Perfect sense. So you mentioned the tarot. You feel like all tarot brings you to
No.
or just, if you're focusing on
No.
like,
Yeah, like if you're doing tarot and you looking at the darkness behind it, like that's what you'll experience. Because tarot can be absolutely very useful. I mean, I also enjoy tarot quite a bit. But I'm just saying, for example, like if it's tarot and you're like, oh my gosh, I see 3 swords and that means death, it really depends on how you look at life. Absolutely.
Oh, wow. No, thank you for sharing that. So you had mentioned about the glitches, seeing the glitches. Have you also seen them in this reality, or it was just when you experienced them?
Yeah. When I came back, like I said, when you awakened, your senses are awakened. What you see, hear, feel, and a lot of people keep those. I think like probably 99% of NDE stories I know, they came back with abilities. And part of my ability was seeing this dimension for what it really is. So I came back and I started seeing the city in the sky, which a lot of people are like freaked out about. I mean, I never walked outside for months. I kept on seeing this structure in the sky, and I'm like, no way, I'm not dealing with that. So I came back seeing the third dimension for what it is. And then there was a lot of seeing a lot of glitches, like birds just appearing and literally disappearing in front of me. A lot of insects, a lot of butterflies. And then I also see a lot of, like literally in the air right now, it looks like it's raining for me. Like it looks like raindrops coming down, but it's actually just the energy in the air. So I'll look outside and think it's raining, but it's just like this energy falling down. And also like a little fingerprints, these fingerprints just moving all around in the air, which is, I still see them now. So yeah, I came back with quite a few abilities. And at the time I was dating a doctor, and I was like, please admit me into this hospital, because I cannot deal with it. Like I couldn't deal with so much sensory information. I just couldn't do it. Wow. But yeah, I still do see the 3D. A lot of glitches in time. A lot of people are talking about time glitches. That happens quite a bit to me. Where I remember something and it's just completely not what it used to be. I also believe, like I had with my NDE, I feel like I had a walk-in. I don't know if you've heard of walk-in before. So I definitely think it was like a walk-in, because I don't remember anything. Like I think I have about like 10 memories from my past life. Like I can't remember anything of what happened before. Which is
what point do you remember up to?
I remember one or two childhood experiences. Wow. I remember one, like I don't remember my teenage years at all, which is quite strange. And then my early 20s, I have maybe one or two memories, but yeah, everything, it feels like it's wiped. It's weird.
So in regards to that, kind of the glitches, and so did they basically show you that this is all just a matrix simulation type thing? Or?
Absolutely, yeah. So like I haven't heard of any NDEs that came back and said, oh my gosh, I saw the matrix, so that was kind of weird to me. But I think part of my other lesson, besides the other two lessons that I learned, was they gave me the ability to see this dimension for what it is. And I think that's my message, is like I try to awaken people to this reality, because you won't be able to get to the other dimensions without conquering this one first. So if the sky glitches one day, everyone's going to freak out. Everyone's going to be like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that was there. So what I try to do also, like on my YouTube channel, is make people aware of the structures in the sky. So if it does glitch, which the sky has glitched before in past history, the sky has glitched and people seen the structures. So my goal is to actually make people more aware of this dimension, because like everyone's like, yeah, I want to go to the 5th dimension and all but let's first deal with this dimension. Yeah.
100. See, and that's kind of the message I had since I was a little kid, that everything is very simple, right? But the same, like if we don't fix this, that's one of the messages I was given, because when I was little, I used to get visited by who I thought was God. It was like this ancient being. So, it was almost like before, back then there was no YouTube or Google.
Yeah.
So people didn't share their NDEs. I didn't know who to tell, but it was almost like that, because I think because of being around the church, they would teach a lot of like, when things are bad, they're going to come rapture us off. But I got a different message, but it was like, who's going to live? If there's preachers with over like millions of people that listen to them teaching, oh yeah, because I remember they would say, when I see the world getting worse, I get excited, because that just means we're closer to Jesus coming back. So it was almost like promoting, keep messing up the world, because we're going to get raptured off.
Yeah.
And I was getting a different message, like, no, we don't get to just destroy this realm and then go off sailing into the sunset, right? But I was like, how do I?
As well. Yeah.
But
that's personally as well. You don't just not do the work on yourself and then want to go to the 5th dimension. It's the same thing. You can't just leave this place or leave your body and you don't even know how it works or what it needs, what trauma you need to get rid of, and you want to go to the 5th dimension. Like, it doesn't work that way. So it's exactly what you said. It's like you can't just leave here and ruin everything and want to leave. It doesn't work that way.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And so even now, I think I don't hear it teach as much as before, but I think there's still some people that keep giving off that message. But for me, it's hard to explain. Maybe hearing the way you experienced it in the NDE, maybe people will be more open to that, right? Like the message of that.
Yeah, I do think there is a reset point coming up. I do think there's a reset.
Oh wow.
Yeah, definitely. It's gonna be definitely our skies. It's gonna be in our sky. That will be like the first signs will be our sky. But the amount of people like wakening up now is for a reason. It's not happening by chance. So I do think before I physically get old and leave, there will be a reset. I think I've been following a chronologist. It's a chronologist. They study time and patterns. And I don't know if you heard of Jason Breshears, but he's such a good chronologist. He is amazing. And I think he speaks a lot about the simulation as well with time. And he predicted there is a reset simply going into historical books and looking back at all the resets that did happen. We are definitely due for a reset. Some people, think that it's going to be like a solar flare or, something to do with the sun or like whatever. But I do think it's going to be electromagnetic, as in it's going to change the frequency, but it's also going to be physical. Like you'll be able to see it in the sky for sure. Yeah, there will be a reset.
That's interesting. So you feel that's going to be it? Like all the, like, for example, the communication, all that stuff is like the cell phones, all that's going to be wiped out?
Yeah. I think it's going to start with like it's happening now. It's going to start individually, like person by person. And then eventually we're going to get to a point where there's going to be quite a few people waking, but not enough. Like it won't be like half the world's population. And then it'll be definitely electronic. It will definitely be a shutdown, but I think it'll happen with the skies, in something got to do with the skies as well, like a glitch or could be a solar flare. I don't really know for sure. I was just given, the confirmation, like, yeah, something's coming. Yeah.
Wow, very interesting. So you also mentioned about different abilities that you've had. So are there any other ones that you've also gained since coming back?
Yeah, I have this weird ability where I can sense someone is thinking of me and going to call me. And it's not just intuition, it's a physical feeling that I get. So like, before we came onto the call, I could feel, I could sense you, like, oh, okay, he's gonna go on soon, let me jump on before him. So I would get like this, it's like a feeling like stuck, I don't know, like my sinuses would start tensing up, and then it's not painful, and then I would just get like this knowing, and it would be very visceral, like a very physical feeling. Then I'm like, oh, okay, someone, and you could be like around the world, anywhere in the world, and I would know. So that's very weird. So when someone's at my gate, like trying to come in, they don't have to call me. They can just be like thinking of me, and then I'll be like, oh, someone's here. I'll just go run and open. It's kind of weird. I don't know if I call that like a superpower, because I don't use it. It's just silly. But yeah, seeing things is my biggest, it's my biggest thing right now. It's like seeing the structures in the sky, and also it's got to do with your consciousness. So they're all connected to your consciousness, whatever's in the sky. For example, if I look up and it looks like a star. They look like stars, but they're not. They're not stars. And so if I like speak to one star, they would like zoom down and like, who's talking to me, and then if I, it's kind of, they'll like zoom down, look at me, and then just hang around. And if I don't, communicate with them, they just like zoom back up. It's insane.
Yeah. So do you ever have like a premonitions or anything like that, or those kind of things?
I don't have any premonitions at all. A lot of vivid dreams, like where I wake up in my dream and I'm like, oh crap. I get so shocked and I'm like back in my body. Oh yes, I was gonna tell you about the one dream where they were fixing my heart.
Okay.
Yeah, I went on holiday with my boyfriend, and I don't know, I just knew something was going to happen that weekend. It's almost like they wanted me to be in that specific spot for a reason. And I was still on medication for my heart and taking all these pills. And so one night we were sleeping and I wake up and these beings are around me and they're like laughing. They're like, oh crap, she's up, And then I see these like energy wires going into my heart, and I'm freaking out, and I'm like, I don't want to be here. What are you doing? And they're like, Rochelle, you've been here before. What's going on with you? Why are you freaking out? And I'm like, who are you? And I don't remember anything. And they all like just chilling, whatever. And it's almost like I was on an operating table, and they have all these energy cords going into my heart, and they're calibrating, and they're just calibrating. And I remember the specific frequency was like 64 hertz. For some reason, I woke up and I saw it, and I just started screaming, and and I was back into my body. And my boyfriend was like next to me, and he was like, what's going on with you? And I said, oh my God, they took me. And he was like, calm down. And then when I Googled, like, what is 64 hertz? And it's some healing, I don't know, some healing frequency. I'm not sure up until today. And then I knew, like, after that, my heart started like really working well.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah. And I was like, I'm no longer on any chronic medication. Like, I just go to the gym and like eat properly. And yeah, it's kind of weird.
So did they ever show you that you agreed to have these heart situations? Because that's been a thing like with NDE, where they'll come back and they'll show them that they agreed to it, right? They chose all these things that happened to them. And I had something similar happen to me too, without the NDE. Like, they showed me, because my brother, he passed away, right? And it was like one of the worst things, because he ended up taking his life, right? So it was, and then that's when, like, the same, like, some beings visited me, all this and that, and they basically showed me, like, it in agreement, you know, but then all
Yeah.
that stuff. So with you, did they show you that, like your heart stuff, or they didn't show you anything, like if you chose all these things, or?
Yeah, I mean, the message was like, yeah, you chose this, but
Oh,
that
okay.
wasn't the point. It's like they showed me that everyone's point, like you have a certain people that you connected to in your life that will pitch up in your life, and they have a role to play, and you have to play a role, and
Mhm.
that's what you agreed to.
Mhm.
So, for example, if you have like a car crash, all everyone's path was lined up to be at that one moment, at that one time, because that's what you agreed. So yeah, I would say you definitely agreed for it, but it's almost like everyone that was involved in that crash has a life lesson to learn from it. So it's part of the agreement. That does that make sense?
No, absolutely. And the reason I brought that up was because when you said like the way they fix your heart, because I've been made aware of that they can fixing. So when I've had certain pains, I've gotten frustrated already knowing that it's like, I know you could fix me. So that's why I asked that, because I'm aware of that. Like I've seen
Yeah.
those things now where, okay, they could fix you. So
Yeah.
sometimes when I'm in, oh my, you know, I messed up
Yeah.
this, because I started having this sciatic nerve pain, but I get
Okay.
it why it
Yeah.
had to happen, because
Yeah.
being stuck, I accomplished a lot of things because of that. Being in
Yeah.
pain for over a year, I was able to do it. So it's almost like it was written into my thing.
Okay.
But sometimes I would get frustrated, like, I know you could fix me. So
Yeah.
how did
And
I
I know
agree
what the
to this?
answer is going to be. I know what
Yeah.
the answer is going to be. It's going to be like, well, you need this right now because you're not looking after some other section of your life. And, there's always a reason behind them not helping you. I mean, I would ask them like really stupid things sometimes. I'm like, oh, please let me get into med school. Like, please, please, please. I know you can do this. But they don't work that way. They're like, well, it's not part of your soul's purpose to go to med school, and it's you need this pain in your body because it needs to teach you something along the way. So we're gonna let you hold on to that for now, but I think with my heart, it's like, no, we need you around. We need you. You have stuff to do, so we kind of need you around. So we're gonna help you a little bit. But like in your case, if you have some pain, they're going to let you linger with it for a while until some lesson is learned, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And even when you talked about the hospital bed, like I had that happen once, but to me, it always happens like in dreams. And I woke up in this hospital bed, and but it was all, I was in a facility, and you could tell it wasn't here, like in this realm or whatever.
Yeah.
But it was all women in this facility, like the ones,
Okay.
even the one operating on me, and she removed this big old thing from here, and it almost looked like a tumor, and she's showing all the other ones in there, and they're all like, oh wow, that's big. Like, so I thought it was like maybe they were opening my third eye even more, and they were showing like that there was some kind of blockage. But now even it almost feels like, what if it was just all this information like that I was reporting back, and it was like this whole big thing of like I was storing all this information to report back. So it was just weird.
Did it help you?
Did it help me?
Like after that, were you like different? Were you like more? Could you see more?
I mean, I've always been, now, like at this moment, it's been leaps and bounds, right? Like I used to get everything in dreams, like visions, this and that. Now I could do it because I never tried though. That's the funny thing. I never tried to like channel, like just sit and then I'll get the images, boom, boom, boom. Like, if I focus, I joined this group that I've been able to do that now. Like if someone's something, and then I'll be able to channel things just like that. And I used to let it come naturally, like, oh, like just, I just let it, because it came to me so much in dreams. So now I do have that. And, like, when you're talking about like, well, to me, I get the synchronicities a lot, like, and very weird, right? Like once I kept seeing all these little moths, like, oh no, caterpillars, right?
Okay.
Little caterpillars, and they were all like orange and black. And I was like, they're trying to get my attention. I've never seen this in my whole life. They're trying to get, so I was on a bike ride, like by the mountains through these trails. And so I went off the trail to this place where no one goes. So I went there to like, like go pee or whatever, right? So then
Yeah, yeah.
as I'm leaving, this person jumps out and they scare me, and I was like, oh wow, like something. I think I said something about the caterpillar because they had all the exact colors of the caterpillar. So I'm
Oh
like,
my gosh.
and I'm like, what? Like, and then they're like, oh yeah, it's me. They're like, oh yeah, it's me. Like if they had just transformed
Yeah.
into this
Oh my
person.
God. Wow. That's insane.
And even though they said it playing around, I believed them because I'm like, what? That's impossible. Like, how are you
Yeah.
the exact colors of this caterpillar that was on the ground? So these weird things
Yeah.
happen all the time, you
Yeah.
know? Like,
Wow. Yes. No, I know. I kept on seeing the number 144. Like I still see it up until today. Like it haunts me. I don't know. I'll even show like my boyfriend or someone and we're like, there's another 144. Like there's no, I always feel like it's like a message or they're trying to get your attention with the synchronicities. Like, but I could never get the message behind it. Like, okay, why am I seeing this, or why is this a synchronicity? What's the message? I could never figure like that part out. I don't know if you did figure that part out.
I mean, I related to because I see the 144 also. That's funny. And
Do you?
yeah.
Wow, that's
But
insane.
but to me, I connected to because in the Bible, you know how it talks about there's
Yeah,
144,000. So that's the only thing
yeah,
my
that's
brain
weird.
kind of goes
Yeah,
to. Maybe there's a deeper meaning to it, but
yeah,
I
yeah,
always related it to the 144,000. But I don't think there's just they say there's like 144,000 like kind of chosen
yeah,
that. Unless it means that there's like
yeah,
144,000 that are gonna help wake other people up, but I don't think it's just 144,000, like just that's
yeah.
it. That are
Absolutely,
you know
absolutely.
that are gonna go
But I
to the
know
next.
144 is like also connected to the pyramid. I
Oh,
know 144 is also connected to the Pyramid of Giza, the big one.
oh
So
wow.
yeah, I actually want to do like my next video on like resets. And it's just like if you look at the pyramid, like I mentioned Jason, he's a chronologist. And when he got into the pyramid and the measurements, and I was like, what the heck? There's like 144 in there somewhere. Like, he always mentions 144. So besides, the Bible, the angels 144, but it's also a structural meaning to it, and it's related to the pyramids for
Oh
sure.
wow. Okay, I'll look into that. Yeah,
Yeah,
because I
you're
never.
the only person I know that ever sees 144, which is such an odd number. I don't know.
Yeah. No, and sometimes if I'm having like if I'm in doubt or something and I'm having some kind of weird stuff, I'll see 143. But 143 is because
Oh, yeah.
before, when you remember
Yeah.
pagers and all that. Yeah. So, when you have a boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, that's how you say I love you,
Yeah.
143.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that is so weird
yeah. So
that
it's
you
almost like
said
they're
that,
telling
because
me like, hey, we
yeah,
love,
yeah,
like don't worry, you're good, everything's good. 143. Or I'll look at my
absolutely.
phone and it's 143, or there'll be a
Yeah,
car in
that's
front
so
of me
weird.
that'll have 143, or
Yeah.
it's all.
It's so weird you say that, because like I always catch 143 and I'm like,
Oh,
why am I catching 143? 144 is up next. Like, and I always catch 143 sometimes, which is
ah,
so weird you said that.
yeah. So did you know that it's almost like that I love you thing? Like,
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely. I
Oh,
used to always use that 143 like when I was younger.
oh,
I don't
okay.
know. Weird.
Yeah. So
Uh-huh.
yeah, that's so funny. Yeah, I know I took us in a whole another
No, that's fine.
yeah. No, but it was just I had to bring up the hospital thing because someone else had experienced that, and we were gonna talk about it on the podcast, and then they changed their mind. I guess at the last, maybe
Oh, okay.
they decided, or maybe I don't know. I really don't know the reason that they after changed their mind.
Yeah.
But they experienced something similar. They woke up, I guess, something in a facility, and the same. It was all women and this and that.
Wow.
So to you didn't
Wow.
see them in a certain way like this. How did you
No.
see them when you started freaking out?
Like the beings, or just being in hospital?
No,
Like
the
being in
beings.
the beings, no, it's almost like I recognized them. I was like, oh, it's like an old friend, like, oh yeah, I've been around them my whole life. So I wasn't freaked out at all.
Oh, what about the one that you said that you wanted to get out of there, and they were like, "Hey, Rochelle, you've been here before."
Oh, that with the dream, yeah, they were literally beings. um I know they were physical, quite tall. um I think it's part of the meditation I had once, where I meditated and I climbed into one of their bodies. So it was so weird. But I think they were physical, but they had no gender. They didn't have it. They weren't male or female, and they were scary looking, but I knew them. Do you know? So it wasn't scary to me. So no, there was no gender at all.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's an old movie. I seen it. Someone had mentioned, because someone else I think has experienced something like that. I don't know if it was through an NDE, but there's an old movie. Like I don't know if it's from like the 70s or early 80s, but that's something like that. Like they wake up, they're in a hospital bed, and there's these beings, but those look really scary in the movie. And that's why I was curious. Like to me, they didn't look scary. They looked, but I wonder why they were all. Maybe they thought like, oh, this is something you won't be afraid of, right?
Yeah, like maybe he likes women.
Yeah, so they were all like, like just
that's weird.
everything. So I was like, oh,
I think like they will also come to you with what you're comfortable as, because before my NDE, I literally used to get all these weird experiences. Like the one day, like the music was just blaring in the lounge where we had like the old stereos. I was so annoyed because I thought it was my sister, and I got up and put the volume down, and I saw like literally Jesus standing there.
oh
Like
wow.
literally just standing, and him telepathically like, just opening his arms, and he's like, come here, it's okay, come here. And I was like, nope, nope, nope. And I went back into my room. So, and I was still very atheist back then. This was before my NDA. I was like in college.
So
And
before the NDE, you
so,
had already had this experience where you seen Jesus?
yeah.
Oh wow, okay.
And yeah, and I had this dream of like my grandfather that passed away that I've never seen before, but I could describe him perfectly to my mom, and she was like creeped out. So there's like a lot of weird stuff. But yeah, I think they appear to you with what maybe you can handle. I don't know if that makes sense.
No,
To make you a
absolutely.
bit more comfortable.
Yeah, absolutely. Because not when I was going through my pain, I had an experience where something told me to go up to a mountain, and I was like, I could barely walk. How am I gonna go up to this mountain? And they were like, go. So I was like, okay, fine. I went and I climbed, and by the time I got to the top of the mountain, I didn't feel any pain.
Wow.
Then on my way down, this man appeared to me, and he looked like a native medicine man. Like, he didn't have a shirt on. He had like this pain. He had the not like the Hollywood way they put the feathers, but they were different the way the feathers were. And he had this staff. So, he looked like a native medicine man. Then I interviewed someone that, they say they connect to angels. And then they were like, I don't know why. I told them the story. And then I started, when like my heart exploded with this love. And I couldn't stop crying for over 5. And I was looking around like, I hope no other hikers come and they see me cry. I'm crying for like 5 minutes, but it was like this love, right? And then over here, my third eye felt like it was vibrating. Like I was like, what the what's like, I know I saw this because all this other stuff that's happening, because he appeared, then he disappeared, right?
Yeah.
And then so when I told her that, she's that woman was like, I know that's this angel, his name is Archangel Raphael, right? And I had never heard, like, because everyone prays to like the I didn't pray to angels or nothing like that, so that wasn't even my thing. And she said she knew it was him, but I told her, why did he appear like as a native man? Like, if they always paint him like this and that, and she's like, well, because that's what you felt comfortable with, so that's how. Yeah, and even when I tell people, they're like, are you sure it was him? I was like, no, I know 100% now. I know it was, but yeah, he appeared to me like that, I guess, because that's who I felt comfortable. Yeah. So it's,
I mean, there's a lot of people that's like, oh, I've been abducted by these weird creatures looking, or some of them are like, no, they came as angels. I think it's whatever that you're comfortable with. But because I was atheist, me seeing Jesus in the middle of the floor, I just turned around and said, nope, that can't be real. So I think they did try to get my attention, but I was just like not having it at all.
That's funny.
And so I think it took an NDE for them to be like, okay, she's wasting time. She has work to do, let's just do this.
And did they, because like that, when I interviewed that woman, she said there's a difference between the angels and these beings of light and these higher beings. Were you shown that, or to you, it kind of seemed like they were the same? just in
Yeah,
different bodies? Or
no, I think there's definitely levels of dimension. And as soon as I left the next dimension, I was no longer physical. So I do think there is physicality, but with each level of dimension, you get lighter and lighter. So it's like, then you're just a light being at some point. So I do think there's level of physicality. At some point, you just lose your physical body. But I don't think it's all the same being simply because they exist in different dimensions. Yeah.
wow. And did they show you, were you back in your orb form, or when you were on the other side, you had more of a body, like a light
Yeah,
body?
like when I was in the next dimension where the glitch was, I was still physical. So I
Oh,
knew it was the next dimension. But when I left that dimension to go to the light, I was completely like non-physical. Yeah.
wow.
I was literally just like a ball of light.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So how do you feel going forward? What do you feel the main message is that they wanted you to give to everybody? Like, I know one is like about the darkness, like to show it
Yeah.
the love, and then what
Yeah,
other
yeah.
things were you shown?
Wow, they basically I mean, I still get messages. Sometimes I'll just be sitting and I get all these ideas just like, coming to me. And I don't know if you've seen my channel, but I talk a lot about like facts. I love like being factual. I like evidence because I was atheist before. I need that evidence. But yeah, the message was I want to like wake up people to the third dimension. Like, let's do the third dimension together. Like, let's look at our skies and let's work on our spirituality within the third dimension. Because everyone wants to just take off and fly to the fifth dimension. So let's do the work. Let's look at our skies. Let's do the traumas. Let's heal our bodies. Let's look at crystals. I don't know, anything that is in this realm. So that's my main message is, yeah, I think it's about time because like I said, there is a reset coming and I just want to prepare people. I want to help prepare as much people as I can. Yeah.
So because and I agree 100%. That's so funny. Like, I'm very happy to hear someone say that, right? Because no, even that, I feel like, okay, when I was trying to remember, I got all the way to whatever level of reaching this higher consciousness, and the whole message was that to come back and focus on this. Because they even asked me once if I wanted to leave, and it wasn't even during an NDE. They were like, "Do you want to go?" And I said yes, without skipping a beat. I was like, "Yes." And then they were like, "Oh," you could hear like they weren't expecting me to say yes, that I wanted to go. But then when I woke up, I knew that I had said, "Okay, fine, I'll stick around and try to." I guess, and it's basically like a similar message, right, for us to fix it here.
Absolutely.
So do you feel like, did they show you at all about the religion? Like, were religions put there on purpose as a test, or do they hinder us, or do you feel that they help more? Like, how do you feel about like all these religions that don't teach us to like focus on healing this and more? It's more about like, oh, we're gonna take off and all that.
Yeah. No, I with coming back from my NDE, I've just known so much about religion. It's definitely like they told me it's a man-made, construct. They took something that was supposed to be spiritual, and it's almost like they got greedy and they wanted to claim it. Like, I want to claim this religion, like make it, mine. And I think that's where we kind of split off. It's like we then went down the path of a man-made path compared to what it was before. It was all spiritual before. It was all, the Native Americans all talk about it. It's everything is spiritual. And then I think it's just man that came and it's their ego. And that's what they want. They want to kind of claim a religion or claim that path of spirituality, which they can't do. And that is our awakening. We see right through that. So no, I don't believe religions are like a bad thing necessary. It's like they try to put you on a good path, like do good, but I think the message behind it is like, do good or you'll go to hell. But there's no judgment on the other side. There's no hell, there's no heaven, there's it's just you against you. It's almost like they show you a mirror, like, this is what you did to yourself, you need to correct it in order to go to the next level. And that's what religion does. It's like, it doesn't make you look at yourself. It's always something outside of you. It's like you need to pray for something that's outside of you. You need to ask God, and they're putting God outside of you. God is not outside of you. It's literally you. You are literally God. So I don't like the fact that religion always puts God outside of you. Does that make sense?
No,
But
absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
You know, that's what they say, like that book that was taken out of the, I guess, the Bible and all that.
yeah,
I'm guessing. I don't know if it was ever in the Bible, but the one where they say those were the original teachings of Jesus, where he
yeah,
says
yeah.
that, like, oh, the kingdom of heaven is inside you and
Inside
all
of,
around
yeah,
you.
absolutely.
And he says, like,
Absolutely.
you know, the split a piece of wood, that you don't need like those
Yeah.
buildings of this and that. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
yeah, it
it's
never,
literally inside of you.
yeah, yeah. No, and it was funny because in one dream I had, um, that's what I was like underground, and it was like all these roots from these trees. And
Yeah.
there was a woman there that I actually know, and she
Yeah.
kept telling me the book of Thomas, the book of Thomas, the book of. So when I woke up right away, I Googled the book of Thomas, and it's
Yeah.
that book that they say, oh, these are the. So I
Wow.
believed it. I was
Wow.
like, oh, I'm guessing because it came to me in a dream, and
Yeah.
that, right? I feel like those really were the
Yeah.
real teachings of Jesus, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah,
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 yeah.
there was. And I think it just got so mangled along the way that it's so far from, I don't know, the truth, let's say.
Mm.
But yeah, I think it has a place. But just like I said, I don't want to go into the religion, because a lot of people are like, oh, I'm still religious and God. And I'm not saying there's no God or religion is bad. I'm just saying they put it outside of us. We have the kingdom within, like you said. So if we can just, get everyone to see that part, and I think there wouldn't be any more religion, to be honest.
Mm.
Yeah.
No, and it's always the same. It's been hard to talk about because yeah, like a lot of people get offended if you,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. But see, me, I was more around the native culture, right? Like that was
Okay.
what I've been around.
Yeah.
And so they had no problem being disrespectful towards but I didn't want to
Okay.
return that, right? Like I just
Mm.
wanted to
Yeah.
kind of like them have an open mind to
Yeah.
like not be so disrespectful to
Yeah.
like what I was practicing.
Absolutely.
Right? That was it.
Absolutely.
But you know,
Yeah. But yeah, like you said, it's about respect. I do respect the religions and your beliefs, and good for you. You can, your reality is your reality. I can't change that, even if I tried. So yeah, I wouldn't ever like disrespect anyone's religion at all. But if for some reason religious people always think like my stuff is woo-ha, and I don't know.
oh,
That's, yeah.
have you got even sharing that it was that you died and came back, they still kind of look at you as,
Yeah, yeah. Even like my mom, like she's
oh wow.
super, super Christian religious, and she was like, "Yeah, that can only be the devil's work." Yeah.
Oh wow. And
So
you're in South Africa?
yeah, I'm in South Africa.
So over there, Christianity is like the main religion.
Yeah,
And oh wow, okay.
absolutely, absolutely. It's still very dominant. I mean, it's still a third world country, but
Mhm.
in terms of religion, yeah, it's still quite heavy in Christianity. Yeah.
Wow. And I forgot to ask you, I was gonna ask you that, like how your boyfriend took it, like how different people
Yeah.
around you took when you
Oh
shared these
yeah.
experiences.
Oh. Yeah, like they thought I was like literally losing my mind. And then I realized I need to like stop speaking about this stuff and just, channel it into like my YouTube channel or
Mm.
something, just do something. But I no longer bring it up around family,
Oh.
because, the last time it was just like crazy. They think I'm still crazy, but they're slowly accepting it, which I love, because we all have that one person we thought, I don't know if you have it, like I thought I could open up to this one person, and then it's like it just, back in your face. And that is my brother. And
Oh wow.
now he's coming to me and he's like, yeah, did you hear, like this could be a simulated reality? And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So like slowly, I think more and more people are waking up. It's just really slow, but like in terms of my boyfriend, he's not awakened at all.
Oh wow.
But he does accept my whatever I'm going through, basically, which is awesome. Yeah.
Wow.
And I don't like really harp on it with him, like, oh, you have to be awakened. I just, yeah, just let him come to his own. Mhm.
Yeah, no, and for me, I always want to know like about like what sign are you? Like when's your birthday?
I'm a Leo.
A
Mine is the 12th
Leo.
of August. Yeah, I'm a Leo.
Okay. you know, it's funny because the same, right? Like my dad, he's a Leo and he's the biggest skeptic. So it's funny that when you were talking about like that you have to see facts, like
Yeah,
that's how.
yeah, yeah,
And even though, you know,
definitely.
it's because when I was in high school, only me and him, there was a little spirit. Like we moved into a new house and there was this
Okay.
girl spirit, and
Wow.
only
Yeah.
me and him saw her. And
Yeah.
even one day there was this man that we hired to build a porch, and he saw
Yeah.
her. But
Wow.
my dad was like, "Don't tell him, because then he's gonna run away." He said he waved. Oh, where's it? Because he thought it was my brother was dating a girl that had a daughter, so he thought it was her, and he waved back to
Oh
her.
my gosh.
And
Yeah.
he's, oh, where's, you know, the little girl was just waving at me, and we're like, wow, it's this the spirit.
But is your dad awakened? Is he
He's
open to it?
experienced so, like, it's amazing. It almost feels like it's just to go against like what I tell him, you know, almost. So
Okay.
I don't
Okay.
even get that. Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. Yeah.
just like, oh no, anything you say, I'm just gonna say the opposite. But he's experienced so many. Like
Yeah.
he basically almost died when he was a little kid. I think it was like the last day of school. I don't know what grade he was in, and he was going
Yeah.
to school, and he fell off a bike and landed. Like, I think those things that chop up the grass, and a spike went all through his thing,
Oh my gosh.
to where people even left, like the police got there or whoever, and then they left him because they thought he was dead. They were like, oh,
Wow.
like he's already dead.
Yeah. Wow.
Until I think a neighbor came and saw him, and they took him to the hospital, and
Yeah.
then so he has like
Yeah.
the scar right here, and
Yeah.
so he's experienced all. So I think he's always been in tune, but that I think that's why I don't know
Is
if
it not acceptance? Maybe, you know, that word acceptance. It's a harsh word. Once you accept something, it goes against the core belief. Your belief system is just, you know, non-existent if you start accepting something else. And I think that's what most people are. Maybe your dad he's just not at that point of acceptance just yet, because he's scared it might just, I don't know, switch up something in his life or his thinking. People are scared. People are scared to accept it.
absolutely. And were you ever shown anything, or how do you feel about this? Because obviously we have it in us. We're born on this. Do you think it does kind of affect the way we are, like the astrology and all that, or how?
Yeah. I do think astrology has a place. It definitely has a place. I think everything that's happening in the world right now has a place. I know a lot of people, for example, like astrology, sorry, not astrology, like flat earth. A lot of people don't want to talk about it. People
About
are
what?
like, is it like flat earth?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
like everything that's happening at the moment, it's not by chance. Like, it's not, flat earth is there to question your reality. Like, could they be right? Could they not be right? We don't know, but it's there to question. The same with astrology or astronomers. They'll be like, oh, there's a new star, but where did it come from? So everything that's happening today, I feel like it's there to question, to wake us up, to literally wake us up. So yes, I think everything has a place right now, whether it's the truth or not, that's, you know, your reality. But yeah, I think astrology definitely plays a role in our lives. Yeah.
And you weren't shown at all, like we choose part of that as well, like if we choose
everything.
everything. Okay, wow, yeah.
We choose, it's almost like we've set out everything before us, like, okay, I've chosen to do this. And a lot of people can't accept that. It's again this word acceptance. You can't accept it, like, no, I didn't choose to be this disabled person or this blind person. We don't want to believe that we chose it. But yeah, we choose literally everything in our lives just for the lesson to be learned.
That's amazing.
It's literally just experience for experience.
No,
Yeah.
and it's like one of my NDE guests, she said that, right? Like when she was on the other side, and she didn't want to come back, and I think they told her like, it's gonna go by, it's only 40 years. And see, here we would think 40 years.
Yeah.
But that once they told her 40 years on the other side, that
Yeah.
she was like, oh, okay, 40 years, all right, fine, I'll go back.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
if we were to hear that, like here, like 40 years,
Yeah.
what? That's a lifetime. But
Yeah,
I guess on the other side,
absolutely.
it's like 40 years is the blink of an eye or something, right? Like,
Absolutely. I mean, like when I was gone, I don't know how long I've been passed out, like with my NDE. I don't know the time. Like, it felt like I could go from one instance where my daughter was 3 and then she was 13. So that could have been like 10 years of my life, 10 years earth time. So you can't really it's only here that time exists. Like literally, this is the only realm we have time, which is crazy.
That's amazing. So yeah, so because I don't want to keep you forever, but were you shown? So once we graduate from this realm, do we go off to other realms? Like are they physical, like other planets or other places, or it's just like, see that flat Earth? Did they show you anything about flat Earth? Like, is it, or you?
Yeah, what I was shown was that it's a plane. It's a plane. It's a realm. They said this is the realm. Where we are, I don't know. I can't tell you where we are. Like we are somewhere, but they didn't show me like around Earth. They didn't. They just said, oh, this is your realm, this is where you're from, and this is how it looks. It's just one plane. So like zooming out, I didn't see like a round ball. It was more just of like I don't know how to say, like an energy field that we were in. It's kind of weird to explain, but yeah, I'm not I don't, like, I do believe like in flat Earth, but I don't think they have enough information. It's like they just stuck on that one concept. What they need to do is ask where we are and what are we going to do about it. So they just like flat Earth, flat Earth, flat Earth. But yeah, I mean, I'm not bad mouthing them or anything, but there's more to it than what they think. Yeah, but yeah, I was just shown that this is an energetic realm, and it's a plane. Yeah.
No, that makes perfect sense. And so, it's scary to think of it like computer wise, but it's almost like, I think in that show Westworld, they showed something like that. Have you seen Westworld?
Yeah. I love Westworld.
Oh yeah, I love it. And then so the way I guess when they go into, like, they're stored in this and they go to this beautiful other place, and it's all just like almost like if they're just inside somewhere in a computer thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it could, it could be, I guess, like that.
It could be. I do think it's a code. I think everything is coded. One of my videos on YouTube, I talk about, nature being, you can literally look at like a pattern in nature and get a code for it. Like you can get the code for it. So yeah, I think it's coded. And like I said, acceptance. We don't want to accept that this is not real, because it feels real. It feels, I can touch this table and my chair, and it feels solid. But it's not. And I think that's difficult to understand, that it's not solid. Nothing is solid.
No, absolutely. And so because you mentioned that, I wrote a book. That's what I was guided to do. So this year in the beginning, I wrote a book about showing the code, that it's almost like, the code in everything, right? There's this one code that's in everything.
Yeah.
And
wow.
Yeah, and so that code, everything, right? Like from the plant to the moon to the flowers to everything has this one code. One of the pyramids had that code as well. The pyramid of the sun in Mexico had that same code. So all these things, they started coming to me little by little. And it was funny. It was like, it had to be now, because in one of the visions I had, it was like this ancient man, and we were in this, it almost like feels like it's what people call the Akashic records, right? And we had all these books all over the ground, and it was like we were showing all the pieces to this puzzle. But see, now you could show someone on a computer, right? Just boom. So imagine if this was 100 years ago, how could you show people unless you had all these, 100 books all over? Look at here, look at here, look at here. So now it was like, I try to put it in this book, and it's about the code, right? So it would show basically, it would be impossible that there was a big bang and everything ends up with this code, right? Like,
absolutely.
So that's kind of the same message I got. I don't know if it's to show like it's a matrix, but it's definitely created, right? Like it was created. Like it's impossible. So I it's funny that you said that, like how, everything has the code. So everything has.
And when I look into the sky, and I once saw like, this pattern in the sky, besides seeing whatever's up there. I can't really say it's like a whole city, but I know it's a massive object that just covers our realm. And they told me it's organic technology. Like this technology is connected to our consciousness, completely connected to our consciousness. And that was a bit hard for me to accept. So the only way we can experience our reality is through consciousness, because everything is code, but they're helping us because for some reason we connected to them through consciousness. And they were like, yeah, well, we're using this organic technology. So this technology just uses consciousness to work, which is insane. I don't grasp the concept yet, but it's got to do with exactly what you're saying. Like everything is coded. We just need to have the technology to see it, maybe, I don't know, or experience it. I'm not sure. Yeah.
No,
But I
no,
know
but
it's related.
yeah, but you said it too. So yeah, the same, like you were showing that it was, everything has the code.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it does. It does.
and it is, I guess, scary. Yeah, I guess it's just acceptance. It's like, it's
Yeah.
scary to think like,
Yeah.
that's why I wanted to ask the thing about, I know, again, yeah, I never want to bash on the religion or nothing like that, but
Yeah.
I wanted to understand why they work so hard to keep our minds like trapped in
Yeah.
that thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like why? Like,
Yeah, I
or
know
who
what you're
started
saying.
that? That's what I
Yeah.
wanted. Yeah, yeah.
I honestly don't think it's a trap, to be honest. I
Oh,
don't think
okay.
it's a trap. I think, like you said, we planned this, we put ourselves here. But I think as a soul, you need to grow. You need to get to the next dimension. You need, like, the ultimate goal is to get to source. That's our ultimate goal. And this reality is just part of it. So we have the darkness, we have our organic technology, and now we, coming into codes and simulation, and this is all part of this reality. So we need to master that. But I don't think it's a trap. I think it's an experience. Like, we need to start, once, a lot of people don't accept simulation theory. They don't want to know that, this is just a code. It's difficult to understand that. So no, it's not a trap. It's experience. We need to understand this third dimensional realm. Yeah.
No, and it's funny that we're talking because imagine, like, if this was 100 years ago, and look at how your background has space and all this. So if I try to say that, hey, I was talking to someone on this little thing and they have space behind them,
Yeah.
they wouldn't
Yeah.
grasp it. Like,
Exactly.
oh, you're
Yeah.
crazy. But
Yeah,
see,
exactly.
so maybe
Yeah.
it is
Maybe
a
in
good time
20,
to
30
show
years,
people. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe in 20, 30 years, we'll be like, oh, wow, this is organic technology and it's now just part of life and it's coded. And I definitely think simulation theory is just going to pick up and we're going to learn more, especially with like quantum physics. I had no clue about codes and quantum physics until my NDE. And then I just understood everything, which is so freaky. But yeah, I was totally into simulation and coded reality because of my NDE. They were like, yeah, you need to focus on this section, which is quite weird. Most NDEs come and they're like angels and, fifth dimension. But I came back and I was like, okay, let's deal with the third dimension. So yeah, I actually want to read your book now. So that sounds interesting.
Oh, okay. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I'll send you a link.
Please.
I had like the audiobook, but I don't know. I mean, I kind of like the book because you could see better. Like you could see like.
Yeah, I like reading books. Yeah. Like.
Yeah. And maybe I might have to do a revised version because I never stopped seeing the code. Like, it's so weird because even this code, right? This certain number, like,
Yeah.
it'll even appear to me in movies. So that's the weird thing. It's like last time I was watching a movie from like 1990.
Yeah.
And there's an explosion and a car flips over and on top of that car was the code. And I'm like,
what?
Yeah, I'm like,
do you still see it today? Do you see it like
everywhere,
all the time?
everywhere, like
Wow.
everywhere. Like that, it almost feels like, okay, if I'm ever confused, like was I supposed to do this? And then I'll see it and I'm like, okay, I guess I was. So
but
it's
do you
almost like that.
associate like an object with a code? Or is it, or you just see the code? Or does this one object have a certain code?
Well, okay. I'll tell you briefly. Like, for example, it all started, I named the book, it's called 216 and the Secrets of the Universe. So 216, but it goes a lot deeper. But that number, because that was the date that my brother passed away on 216. But then it appeared, then I started going back and realizing it had been throughout my whole life, like everything, like decisions I had made that changed my life. It was there and there and there. But then I realized that other people had been experiencing it too as well, like not just me. And then there was this man that I guess he almost seemed like he's this mathematic expert.
Yeah.
And the way it happened to him is, I guess, how you said the lapses in time.
Yeah.
That he woke up one night to go to the restroom, and he woke up quiet so he wouldn't wake up his wife. And he went to go pee, and he had looked at his phone. He took his phone, I guess, for the light, and then he looked at his phone. And after he finished peeing, he looked at his phone again, and he was like, "What? Like all this time had gone by."
Wow.
And he did the math, and it was exactly 216 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, so the 216.
Wow.
And
That's
so
crazy.
he explained it. I messaged him on like Facebook, email, on everything, trying to get him so we could talk about it on the on the podcast. I wanted him, because it seems like it was given to him. See, I don't understand like all the mathematics, this and that, and he broke down the code even more, but he saw the mathematical code was like that, in flowers and this and that and that.
Wow. Yeah.
I found it because it was in places I had been, like that pyramid, the Sun Pyramid in Mexico, literally, and that's where my brother came in. It had, they told me all of a sudden, "Oh, look at this pyramid." And when I went to look at it, like it had my brother's birth date and the day he passed away. Like it said, the pyramid was 216 feet high, so that's 216. But in meters, it's 66 meters.
Oh
my brother was born on 6/6, and he passed 216.
Yeah.
I was like, "What the hell?" So then it's just like you feel like you're in this twilight zone. But then I started putting on, then it was like so much information.
Yeah.
I try to consolidate it in the book, but basically that it's all like I showed like all these things, right?
Yeah.
How it's in every, even for example, how 4K is the main thing now. 4K is 2160 by whatever. Yeah. So even right now, the way we're seeing everything, 4K is 2160. So it's in everything.
Wow.
You name it.
Insane.
Yeah,
so it's literally part of your life, and you didn't know it. Like,
but not just I thought at first it was just me, but no, because everyone's in this reality with me. So it's and then why is it like on movies and everything? Everything. Like I was watching a movie and someone won something and the check was 216. It was like, whoever won the award, it was 216 006. So,
but is it the same with 144, or is it just 216 for you?
No, I mean, it's a scare. I don't know. Like, I think for me, it has that another meaning as well.
Okay.
But even the way, like, okay, I thought it was just like the synchronicity in my life, right? Showing me I'm on the right track, this and that.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that number. See, they made it like that, right? How could I ever forget the day that my brother passed away? So that's
absolutely.
That's what made that number. Then I started seeing it everywhere, but then I started seeing the pattern. Like, wait a second, like even the moon is like 200 and it's like 215 something, but it's less than a mile from 216
Yeah. Oh my God.
in diameter, right? So what are, like, did they really measure it? What if it is 216, right? What if the moon, because it's less than a mile from 216 I believe, in diameter. So even that, it shows like, okay, people always believe the moon was created. So that gave me proof. Yeah, the moon was created. How is it possible? This has that code. The flowers have that
absolutely.
code. Yeah. So everything.
Wow. That's insane.
I
do think 144 is got to do with your purpose. I think 144, I haven't met anyone besides you that see 144. And I honestly feel like that's got to do with your purpose. Because like you said, with numerology, if you look at 144, it's actually, 9. It comes to like 9.
Exactly. And so 216 is 9 as well. 216 is 9 as well. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's insane. So yeah, I do think it's got to do with your purpose. Like we're starting to figure out all this synchronicities and numbers, and we're still trying to make sense of it. I feel like one day it's just going to be like there in front of us, and we're going to get like such a shock, and things are going to start making sense. But for now, please keep me updated with your
absolutely,
your numbers.
Absolutely. So I'll link your YouTube channel and everything. I look forward to seeing also the more information that they give you. And
I try to take it slow because a lot of people are not like ready to, you know, talk about the sky and codes, and I try to like get into it a little bit, because if I had to, you know, just let go on my channel, it'll be a bit crazy. But yeah, I will definitely, I do it very slowly, because I feel like some people are just waking up, they're not ready for all that info. So yeah, but thank you.
No, absolutely. But you know, I was like that even with this channel, like certain interviews.
Oh.
But I feel like now I feel more like when you're meant to find it, you're gonna find it. So
yeah.
I almost like I just say
Yeah.
whatever I need to
Yeah.
say now. I feel like, you know, I
Oh,
don't
that's
want
good. That's good.
yeah, I don't want to hold back anymore, because I feel like even that, for example, when I see that there's still wars going on, it just feels
Yeah.
very, and I don't want to use this, be harsh, but it feels very stupid to me that we could be in this age
Yeah.
where we could come like you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm communicating with you. You're on the other side of the world for me.
Absolutely.
We have all this stuff to communicate and talk to one another on the other side of the world, and
Absolutely.
we could problem solve. We could probably end all the hunger and all everything that's wrong with this world in this dimension. We could fix it, but yeah, there's still people, the wars and the
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, but they're not waking up yet. If
Mm.
they were, then would you, I mean, would you awaken? Would you just go and beat up someone because they believe in something? No. So like if everyone had to wake up, and there would be no such thing as war. So I don't know, it's taking a while for them to to catch up. So yeah, they'll be dealing with all that lower dimensional stuff that's happening, wars, and I don't know. It's not for me, it's not for you. So I think we're a little bit far ahead.
Absolutely.
To be honest.
Absolutely. Yeah. But see, that's why I guess for maybe, you know, and it is even in this realm, I've always been impatient. So
Yeah, me too. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So maybe I feel
can't
like
wait for the reset, to be honest. I'm like, please, can we just get this reset going? And everyone's like, oh, Rochelle, you can't say that, because that's like literally the end of the world, you know? So I'm like, yeah, well, we need it. Like, I can't wait. Like, I'm super impatient.
and it's funny. See, I never say that. Like, I've thought that, like, if there was a reset, I wouldn't mind. But do you feel like there will be chaos, like in this realm? Like, there's gonna be chaos?
We're not ready. Yeah, we're not ready. Like I said, if the sky had to glitch and people saw what I saw, like what I see at the moment, they're gonna be like, well, it's either Jesus is coming, or you know, the devil did this. People are not gonna be ready for a code and simulation. They're gonna think it's like the devil. I don't know, whatever the religion, you know, bad stuff. So no, they're not ready at all. But I do feel like as soon as we're ready, it'll happen. Yeah.
Oh, and just be real quick, since you reminded me, I wanted to tell you this because I've never seen glitches in the sky, but one thing I have seen, and I've only met one other person that saw these things, and they also had an NDE, and they see it.
Okay.
But I've seen like the clouds will show me a story, like they'll show me a whole story, and then it'll happen, almost like I'll get a premonition through the clouds.
Wow,
I'm like,
insane.
yeah, so I've experienced that. So I've never seen like the glitches, but I've seen like, how is it possible? How is it humanly possible?
What do they show you? What do they show you? Because they definitely use the cloud. I can tell you that now. They whatever's in the sky, they use the clouds. Sometimes I'll see a cloud and it's like not even a cloud. It's actually just like a craft. So what do they show you?
Like, for example, like once I saw like this woman holding a baby, and then later that day I saw the woman holding her baby, and I was like, what? Or once I saw, it was funny, it was like a pig with wings, right? And I thought like, you know how people always say, oh yeah, when pigs grow wings, right? And then later on, I don't know if I was somewhere and like a van passed in front of me and it was a pig with wings, and I was like, shut down.
That is insane.
Yeah,
so you're actually quite aware. Yeah, you're definitely aware of your surroundings. You know, you reminded me of the numbers. You reminded me of a Facebook channel that I used to follow. This one guy that his whole life he was followed by the number 434. And he couldn't get this number. He couldn't get away from it. Like his street number would be like 434. His number plate on the car would be like 4. So his whole life, and he needed to know what was going. He was going insane. It was literally driving insane. And then he took some mushrooms, and he went into this realm. And they said, finally, you got a message. We've been waiting for you. And and they were he calls them machine elves, and they showed him how he looks outside of his body. So every time he takes mushrooms, he goes to these specific beings and he only communicates with them, and they give him like information. And so he takes like micro doses just to get into that realm. And his whole life, he's like, we've been showing you your whole life 434, but you just didn't want to you didn't want to come and visit us. So yeah, it's insane. It's insane.
No, that's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah, no, I'm really excited. Like I thank you so much. I love this conversation.
Awesome.
Because it's always a breath of fresh air to be able to talk with someone that,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's why I have my YouTube channel, because like I need to channel it somewhere. I don't have these conversations every day. Like it's not every day you just talk about like code and simulation and enjoy it. Like I really enjoy these conversations. But yeah, thank you so much for like having me here.
No, it's been back. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. As you keep experiencing things, maybe you could tell us when they're giving you the message that the reset's about to happen.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So we could be prepared.
I don't like to talk about dates because time is only for this realm. But yeah, they're always giving me signs of, hey, this could happen this time. But I don't like to talk about dates. But anyway, yeah. Absolutely. But I'll keep you posted.
No, absolutely. Thank you so much, Rochelle. If you can send me the links, and I'll put all the links, whatever links you want to share in the description. And
it was awesome being here. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. It was an honor, and I look forward to doing it again.
Yes, definitely. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Take care.
Thanks.
Life may move fast, or it may move slow. I met a silly man who said he'd make it slow. We look up out towards space, or even at the sky. One day pass away, but never look inside. Breathe in, breathe out. Life is a maze, but we'll figure this out. I mean, human beings, I ain't got no doubt.
Yeah, that's right. Sometimes you just feeling it, you know what I'm saying? You just feeling it. And I want to feel this way forever.